Good morning, everyone. Good afternoon, whenever you are listening or watching. I guess I should also say good evening. This is Brews, Bros, and
Bedazzle.
Whoa! I am one of your hosts. I am Damon Emerson. I am one of the co-founders of a nice little growing company called StorSuite. I'm also the vice president of sales and client success. With me, as always, is my esteemed colleague.
Esteemed, all right. Scott Worden. I'm the COO at StorSuite.
We're doing something a little different today. We decided, Scott lives in Arizona. I live outside of Houston. So we decided, hey, you know what? We don't always have to try to find ways to get together to do this, although we do love getting together. We decided we're going to do something more virtual and on location, me in my office in Houston and Scott in his office in Phoenix. Today, what are we going to talk about, Mr. Worden?
Well, I think service is a great topic for us. You and I have talked about some things over time, and this is probably perfect for this episode.
I think so. Service has been the world that we've lived in. I mean, the reality of it is service is why we have our success. I mean, that's if people were to say what we're known for outside of, you know, our dashing good looks, it's really about how we treat people or how we treat our clients. And a common denominator between both of us is that a lot of the time our clients, it's not they're a client of us, it becomes more friend. And then it's not because we put on an act. It's you and I both, in my opinion, we have taken on this old school mentality of, you know, we don't have our career without the people that help us get there. And it's not just your network, it's the clients that trust you, right? And because of that, it's become who we really are. And I love that. I love being able to provide service and take care of people, and it just becomes fun. And it's built into, in my opinion, who we are.
Yes, agreed. And it fits into our makeup as well, like you're saying. Like this is who we are as individuals as well.
Yeah. So why don't we have you start? I know we talked about some really, really cool stories and
yeah, I was telling Damon a story, and it actually ends up fitting perfectly well with this service, and it relates to one of my go-tos, which is Starbucks. So part of our brews, you know, coffee is a brew. I go to Starbucks. I wouldn't say every morning. If you ask my wife, she would say I'm going every morning. But the times that she's actually with me, because we'll go to the YMCA in the morning and then we go to Starbucks. Every once in a while, we'll go through the drive-thru, and if you've been to one of these drive-thrus at Starbucks, most of them now have these cameras. So I can't even go incognito anymore. I can't even say what I want. So 90% of the time, they will say, "Hi, Scott, do you want your usual?" My wife will just crack up because I'll just tell her I haven't been here for a while, and then all of a sudden this is right. So one reason why I go to Starbucks is really how they make me feel. Coffee is good. Maybe not the best. I think I have gone to several local places. I've tried some stuff in Houston when I go to visit. I was just in Colorado and did some stuff, and it probably is better. But man, they make me feel good. Even when they don't know my name, when I come to the window, they have a smile on their face. They look like they want to be there. I think that's also, you know, important to know is, you know, do you have a look like, hey, I don't want to be here? It probably is because they also have a lot of caffeine in them. I think that part kind of always has resonated to me about a company that has done things to make people feel good, and they're providing the service, they're delivering kind of the quality of the coffee is the same. And so it's consistent. And so anywhere I go, I sometimes look for coffee local coffee shops, but if I see a Starbucks, I might say, you know what? They make me feel good, so I want to go there.
Yeah,
So how about you?
My experience is I always go back. I'm a big, as most people know about me, but the ones that don't, I'm a big Disney fan. At one point, I was going to go to art school to work for Disney. It was going to be my internship, and I loved it then. I love it now. And as a dad and husband, we are a Disney family. And I always go back when it comes to service, whether you like Disney or not, is unimportant to me. The one thing that you can't argue is that they still have a very strong service mindset. Now, it's changed a lot in the day and age of technology and social media. They'll get called out more times than not for the negatives and politically, like all these ridiculousness that people just want to have their moments of time of bashing a company, right? For me, it doesn't matter. It's about the service, and we've gotten some rough ones, but the idea of what service has always meant to me, I've taken the Disney mindset. And it started when I was late teens, and I worked for close to 8 months for a Disney store. And I learned, that the back room was called the backstage, and the sales floor was called the stage. And you don't point with one finger, you always got to point with two, which is why when I point, I still to this day do two fingers. But I learned and really got to watch. And I've always had a very happy demeanor, but very friendly and very caring for the people around me. Like I've always been that person. What Disney helped me to do is really kind of understand why and help mold the service aspect of taking care of people or listening and being able to understand. And now when we go to Disney, I find that I watch a lot, and we go to Disney quite often. But for me, one of the best examples you can have is Olivia at this point was 4 years old. So it's a couple years ago. And last night I was explaining this story, but Amy's doing a PTA event, and she's the vice president of family affairs. And we're doing this thing that we learned 2 years ago in Disney, and it was Find Remy. And in Epcot, they have, their countries, and they had Remy the Mouse in different places and all these countries, and you would find it. Well, we're doing something like that for Amy's PTA, and it's Find their mascot. And we were explaining this, and then I went into the story, and we had a cast member, and it was awesome. Olivia got really excited, and oh, Remy, and she saw one, and this cast member just loved her excitement about it. And that same cast member goes to her and gets down and goes, "Hey, you're doing a good job there. Your stickers, like you found out. You want me to help you find a few more?" And she looked at her. She goes, "I'm going to show you where to go." And she walked with us and talked to Olivia, talked to us, asked our story. We learned about her. She was part of a college course with Disney, who then ended up getting employed, and she'd worked 5 different positions to learn. And her goal is she's actually going to be working behind the scenes at this point, I think she's there for some of the attractions. And that was her goal. And she was learning, and she went through and showed Olivia every Remy, gave her a hug at the end, gave her a high five. And it was just a special, special moment. But it was the epitome of what you would hope to expect. And to this day, Olivia asks every once in a while, "Is that girl going to be here? Is that girl going to be here?" And, it's a memory that at that point, a 4-year-old, now a 6-year-old, it's special. But when it comes to service, the goal is, obviously you don't want to go to that extent. Although I do appreciate it greatly when we have clients that like want to hug you and they get excited to see you, right? Like that to me is truly the greatest compliment, because it means that people know that I'm not fake, right? That we're not just calling it in and I'm going to tell you what you want to hear. It's not how we work. And that's my greatest and happiest experience, and it's what I choose to lean on when it comes to how you want to treat people.
Well, and you're saying listening, that was a good one, right? We think about what we're providing, but you're really providing what we're hearing. Have you ever had a You ever had a person come to your door, and have you ever purchased anything from a door-to-door salesperson outside of a Girl Scout cookies?
No.
So I did.
Oh,
I actually never thought in a million years that I'd ever buy something from door to source.
this person had to be amazing.
He was absolutely amazing. And I've been with this company for over 10 years, and it's a pest control. So the service. I've wanted to hear, so sometimes, you know, as we get a lot of phone calls from solicitors, people coming to the door, sometimes we just say, you know, pound sand, I don't want to listen to you, hang up. But I wanted to hear what he had to say, and I was just blown away. And so I thought, okay, I needed service. I needed to do something. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll do it for a month. It was going to be like $15 at the time. It's more than doubled in 10 years, just to give you an idea of, and I'm still with them.
That's awesome.
The follow-up, the service that they provided was so unbelievably over the top. I would receive a text, so saying that we'll be in your area, you know, leave the gates, you know, unlocked. If you need us to go inside, we will knock. This is the person that's going to be there. And then afterwards, they will have us immediately rate them. And they do some things for their employees I really, really like, because there's like, you know, instead of just giving us the 5-star review, say, if you do a review and give us a good start, we will then reward our employee. Basically, it's like a bonus. And so it gave you something to think about, like, hey, did they do a good job? Did they do the things they were so respectful? But I still, over 10 years, I still have that service. And it, again, the price, the value, what they were bringing to me, I have not shopped them at all, because I don't know what else I'm going to get as far as the service level. I'll probably get something a hell of a lot cheaper, but my house is taken care of. It's not something I have to worry about, because in Arizona we got scorpions, we've got tarantulas, we've got all sorts of different things that
you got sci-fi movie bugs.
Right. Well, I mean, I got 2 teenage daughters, my wife, and a dog, and nobody likes, you know, bugs. They don't like any of that stuff. So this is one thing I just have not had to worry about at all. So it's been pretty cool.
I think that's important. You know, the one thing about service. So service is it's an easy word to say. I think sometimes for people it's a hard word to follow through on. You know, we've had salespeople we've done with. I mean, the key to everything we do with our company, right, is we have a people first, service minded process, right? But like we've had employees and in the past companies, you know, I've had colleagues that I've worked with that everyone wants to talk about service. Hell, we know someone that, you know, was real strong on service, but they were more inclined to want to tell you what they knew, not listen to what you knew. And then they caused more issues because they wanted to be the one to tell a client and to tell this and to do that without listening. And then they would make assumptions, right? And it's like, well, you preach service and you do this, but it's not. And then that same mentality is when you try to help them and understand, they just don't get it, right? And that's what we try to combat each and every day. Hell, we live in it. You know, look at me with tenant protection, right? Tenant insurance and protection. I've been 16 of my almost 19 years, right? And for me, it's a world that is easy to kind of skim over some of the facts if you wanted to be that person, because most owners, what they want to know is, hey, are the tenants going to be taken care of and how much am I getting paid, right? So if you allow them to let you do that and you skim over it, we have companies now that in our industry that strongly believe in, we'll just ask for forgiveness when they realize that it's not the truth. Or, hey, we're going to buy you by doing this. And it's in those as we always joke, and I joke, is, well, that's someone who'll be a client in the future, because eventually they're going to realize, right?
Yep.
That's what you try to combat when you talk services, because there's a better way for owners to be able to, or just people in general, to be treated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that to me is something that I'm always trying to watch, while at the same time not thinking so highly of myself that I think I'm the end all be all, because I'm not. You learn every day with this, and I catch myself from a listening standpoint alone, right? Did I hear them? Did I listen? Right? And you and I talk all the time, where I'll go, I let them talk, right? Right. And then you'll be like, yes, David, you let them talk, right? Because you also get excited. If you're into this, I get excited when it comes to the service piece. Like I will go over the top, but I'm also the same person who will then slow it down and go, okay, listen, I know I get excited about it. My wife makes fun of me because I shouldn't be this excited talking about blah, 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 right? Yeah. And then I step back and listen, but that's what you want from the people you're doing. I want someone to be so excited and happy to be talking to us.
So, Damon, you reminded me one of my favorite movies, and we were doing movie quotes, a couple episodes ago. Tommy Boy. So if you remember the part where the guy's like, there's no guarantee on the box. So I will butcher this, but that's what I do on movie quotes. Tommy Boy. So if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. He's trying to sell brake pads. And so he just does a hilarious bit. And the bit is, the prospect wants to have guarantee written on the box. If it doesn't say guarantee written on the box, he doesn't want to do business with you. He goes, I think you'd rather I can write shit on a box, but I think you'd rather take my word for it. And so, as funny as that bit is, it is 100% true. Absolutely. I can say all the things, this is what we do. This is a 5-star, this. If I follow through with what I'm saying, if my team follows through what we're saying, that is gold. It doesn't matter if you write guarantee. It does not matter what is in that writing there. And the other part is, when you provide exceptional service, other people will be bragging about you. And case in point, so I will, from time to time, just randomly call our clients. I catch them off guard because they're like, why are you calling me? What do you want to sell me? I'm like, I'm calling you to thank you for your partnership, trusting us. How is our team doing? And is there things that we can do to improve our service? That's my message. And so they're taken off guard. And so the feedback that I get, the people that I talk to, is incredible. And so what I like to be able to do is then share that with the whole team and say, this is how you made them feel. And this is why they want to do business with us. And again, the partnership part is a part of that. Delivering on the service is another part of that.
I agree. There's two people that I want to highlight in our company. There's actually everybody I want to highlight in our company, but two factions of our company, the tenant protection and the marketing side. And we have a guy named Paul, who is one of our client marketing managers, does a great job. And he came aboard and has really stepped up big. We had a former person in our company that did a good job with bringing clients in, but there was always missed information given, right? And some of these clients had certain expectations that because they were told inaccurate, right? We had another person who went out of their way to try to fix it and did a great job in fixing it. But then it came to service, right? So the salesperson that we had, their business development manager, did an amazing job. of putting them at ease. It gets handed off to Paul, and then Paul had to take a step back to this client who was frustrated at times. And Paul just listened, asked a million questions, and then got this client to start asking questions, willing to go through to the point where they ended up sending an email saying, I got to tell you, I'm so appreciative that you had me work with him, right? Because he listened, right?
Yep.
So on the tenant protection side, we have, and there's so many. There's so many people that we have throughout our company. I feel bad singling out just 2 people, but I think it's the epitome of service. And it's our head of claims. Her name is Janet. And
she's the silent assassin. I nicknamed her the silent assassin.
She is in a situation where claims are emotional. Right? It's very emotional. Someone has suffered loss. And she takes these people who are just distraught, and she's finding out stuff about their personal. And she came to me last fall with when the hurricane devastated companies in North Carolina, South Carolina, everything. And we had a client who lost an entire self-storage facility. She lost sleep that night because she was trying to figure out a way to set up a charity to take care of that facility's tenants, or someone we could reach out to. She called me at 7:00 the next morning, and she had a list of companies that she would like to spend the morning calling to see if she can get them set up to help. And I just sat there, and I was silent for a little bit. I was for 10, 15 seconds, and she goes, is that okay? And I went, Janet, I am in awe. I don't know what to say. That is the most genuine question. And still now, I think about it, we all want to help, but she wanted to take the next step. And that's what you want when you're dealing with people. You want a company that's willing. And this isn't a promo for what we do at StorSuite. This is just a genuine, I want people to listen to this and go, how can we be better? Well, it's taking a moment and just taking a step back, and how can we help?
Yeah.
If you want to know how service is going to help, it's having that kind of mindset, right? And creating that. And sometimes it's not that we do anything. We just are fortunate enough to have some amazing people that work with it that just get it, right?
Yeah, and I call it the Janet way. That service really can be tagged as the Janet way because of how her approach. The glass is always half full. She is always thinking about, really she has tried to balance both sides of the business, right? Hey, another person I do want to point out, because there's also some things that you can do internally in a company. And so on one of my visits to Houston, I came in the office. I came in to talk to this amazing person. Her name is Amanda. And she was handwriting out these cards. And I asked her, so tell me, may I ask what you're doing? And she said, I'm writing these to our managers. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me more. I want to find out, what's prompting? And it was words of encouragement that resonated to each individual. And so I'm like, wow. And it gave me some flashbacks of some other experience I've had where we were writing out, and we were in, again, my background, I had started in sports entertainment, and we would always do these wow moments. And we would handwrite notes. This was for when I worked at the Sacramento Kings during the heyday when we had the greatest show on the court, Chris Webber and company. And so we would have wow moments where we would handwrite things. We knew, their kids, and we knew all the things about that individual. And, every year we kept raising our season ticket prices. And so it just kind of reminded me of, that was external part, but she was doing that internally. She was motivating her team to perform from a store level and showed that she cared.
Yep.
Showed that she made them feel extremely special. And one of them shared in a messaging with all the managers and said, "This made my day." And so it's amazing what a simple act of kindness can do to make a difference, right? And that goes into all of service. So,
well, I also think, for companies that are going to hear this, or an owner, or even operations person, or if you are someone trying to take the next step in your career, service is lived at the company level, and on the
starts at the top. It starts
at the top. Paul on the marketing side would not be doing what he's doing if it was not lived through the director of marketing, through the onboarding, through the tech, right? Because you have to know if you're going to take that approach. Yeah, we all will make that step, but you don't want to feel like you're overstepping to where you're going to stop, right? So our CEO, who is based out of our Austin office, hell, our HR person is one of the most upbeat, amazing, just you live it, right? And you need that. And then on the Houston side, I try to lead that charge, but to be quite honest, they make it easy on me, right? Because we all take the same mindset, and it does go from the top down. We preach this every day. I mean, it's not just we're people first. Like, you have to live in service. You have to be accountable. You have to be able to respond. And it's amazing to watch the people that we have.
Yeah. Agreed. Yeah. I would say, if there's some takeaways from this, if anybody takes anything away, what would you say some of the biggest takeaways are?
Don't be afraid to give great service, right? It's dollars and cents are amazing. Our revenue is amazing, but with great service, you get great revenue, right? Great service, it allows you to do everything else in the company. It allows you to work on the economics. It allows you to, have those tough conversations, right? Mm-hmm. Great service allows you to tell someone no because of the service you've given them, and they understand it, right? Mm-hmm. Service is not a buzzword. Service is it's not fake. People know when you are fake, I call it the grifters in the industry, right? People know when you're a grifter. People know when you are not trying your hardest. So if you're going to do it, just understand why you're doing it for. Mm-hmm. I don't know if I answered that. I gave you 3 answers.
Well, it's a great point, because the examples we gave are not the cheapest in the industry. Disney sure as heck isn't it cheap. That's an expensive carousel ride for young kids.
Yes, it is. Yes,
the pest control company that I did, like I said, they've doubled their price. I'm still with them. They're not the cheapest. Starbucks definitely is not the cheapest. So those are some telling signs of how they've been able to really just be able to put a dollar amount towards excellent service. So think about that. Listening, you had said that earlier. I kind of took that as a key word, empathy. We talk about how they make them feel. So make them feel important. Make sure everybody feels important. And no matter what position somebody has, no matter what interaction somebody has, doesn't have to be necessarily in business, but make people feel important.
And don't be afraid to be your genuine
self.
Smile
on your face. Yeah.
Not be afraid to be your genuine self. I think sometimes people consider, well, I'll tell you my last story. So this is 10, 11 years ago. We had created StorSmart tenant insurance at this point, and we were at events, and my boss at the time, in front of like 5 or 6 people, goes, "It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Damon is the only person in this industry that I've watched people knock people down to come in to give him a hug." And he goes, "It's the most genuine thing I've ever seen." Right? Don't be afraid to be that person, right? Like it's okay. It's not a weakness. You know, if you think you're super powerful and you're this great successful person, why are you that successful? It's because you've been maybe a little vulnerable at some point with a client, and they got to see you for the person that you are. It's not an act. This is reality, and be willing to do it, because that is your gift.
Any other nuggets to leave the audience with?
Go Phillies, go Ducks.
It's a very important weekend. So while we're before us filming this, we don't know the outcome, but it is the Oregon State rivalry.
Right.
I will be in attendance.
I know, you're so jealous. So jealous.
So, no, I want to thank certainly Damon for having this chat, being able to do this. It's takes a little bit of time out of our day to just kind of really think about what's important, and hopefully people take a nugget or two from this.
Yeah.
So until next time, what is this called again? Brews,
Bros,
and bedazzle.
All
Yeah.
right,
right,
you guys. Everyone
All
have
right.
a great rest of the week.
Go Ducks.
Go Ducks.
All right, take care. Bye.